YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We're gonna cut this box open. Looks like it's wrapped in a garbage bag.
No.
Wait, this isn't a garbage bag. It's
Tape.
just tape around a garbage bag, so it's double wrapped.
Whoa.
It's like the
Moving
pandemic special. It's kind of hard to actually cut through all that stuff. It's multi-layers. So what is this box, you might be asking yourself? I'm also asking the same question. I think I know what it is, but I can't remember for sure.
I sort of read the label, but it's not super specific.
Well, you never know if it's exactly correct either.
Well, I know.
Because sometimes they're like, airplane. And then you open it and it's not an airplane.
Spelled with an O.
It's like this type of an airplane.
Right.
The airplane that goes. This is a helicopter by Eachine. Goodness gracious. Whipping out the scissors. We're getting serious this time. So what we have here is an Eachine E180, which is a high performance helicopter. So I'm sure I will do a really good job of making it not quite look as high performance as it should be. But without further ado, we're gonna open this thing up. Eachine always seems to do a pretty good job on helis. And so we were excited for the option to do this one. It's got lots of carbon fiber and metal. It's age 14 plus. Okay, so we have, inside the box, we have plastic. Looks like we've got the blades. We have the charger. It's got a 3S pack. That's pretty cool. Got a screwdriver, a couple extra grommet, well, one extra grommet, two extra grommets. There's a tail. And then we have an extra, boy, there's lots of spare parts. Got this vertical stabilizer and then USB charger like we already mentioned. So we might as well get the USB charger out because we're gonna need to charge a battery here pretty quick.
Are we assuming those are all spare parts?
Well, they're spare except for the charger.
Well, yeah.
It's a pretty nice looking charger actually.
Yeah, it is.
It's 11.1 volts. Okay, so we have a manual. That's for the heli, and then a manual for the E6 remote controller. So that's sure to be enjoyable. Boy, this thing is bigger than usual.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Okay, so that's super heavy duty, so it doesn't feel like it's gonna break. There's a battery ×2. Let's see what those things look like real quick. Good packaging. Ooh, it's got an XT30 on it. Velcro already pre-applied, Eachine branding, 30C 700 milliamp 3S. High quality battery, it looks like. I really like this type of battery because you don't have some weird proprietary connector on it, which is nice. Now, granted, that being said, these XT30 connectors are a little bit harder for some people to hook up. So let's get these things charging right now before we even delve into the rest of the box.
Did you grab both batteries?
Yeah, I got both of them.
Okay.
I'm just untying the twisty tie here. So this thing plugs into standard USB plug. So we'll go ahead and turn on one of these power supplies that has USB plugs on it. These produce 5 volts at 1 amp. There's a flashing light that turns on. It's keyed, so you can only plug it in one way. There's 2 little tabs that go down. That's what I mean by keyed. It goes solid red when it's charging. And then I don't know if it's going to change color or just go back to flashing. But it seems solid. So now let's see how this works with the Gen 2 S2200 charger. So we're going to be able to plug in the balance lead, no problem. Okay, so that's super easy. So the minus, of course, is going to go all the way over here. Okay, so that's plugged in, but then how are we going to do the balance lead? We have some adapters here. I just wanted to talk about this because this is an IC2 connector, but it has the smart lead in the middle. And the smart lead won't work with this because look at the spread on those pins. And then furthermore, there's a connective point in the middle of this XT30. Whereas with an XT60, there's a gap in the middle so that smart pin can pass through. But what I've done is I've made this little adapter. I used my motor drum connectors like this, and then I can go ahead and charge these little XT30s. I should probably just get an XT30 and then that would work really nice too.
You don't have very many XT30s though.
You know, I
Worried about.
don't. I have one like this. This one is 700 milliamp hours as well. And so it's always been a struggle to charge that one for that very same reason. But there's just lots of different styles of connectors that you're going to get as you work with radio-controlled aircraft. So in my case, I think what I'll probably do is I have an adapter, and I'll pause and find it real quick. So I have this little adapter here, and that adapter is just an IC3, which is, of course, or excuse me, an EC3, an E-Flight connector, and that's a 30 amp rating. Okay, so then that brings that up here, and we can just press start. Except I do need to go to menu, press and hold for menu, and it's at current 3.2 amps. So I'm going to go into the current setting and set that down to, whoops, that's the other way. Go to like 0.7 would be ideal because this is a 700 milliamp hour 3S, right? Yep, 700 milliamp hour. So 0.7, and then we'll go down to start and just start it. So that's at 64% charge. So we'll just kind of compare the time frame for how long it takes to charge these things. These included chargers are usually pretty slow, and that's just something that we've kind of come to appreciate as being part of the reality we face.
Hey, wait, before you go, if they don't have a power supply like that,
You can plug it into your
use...
cell phone adapter.
Yep.
You can plug it into your laptop. Whatever it is that you have that has a USB charger port, you should be able to use it.
Yep.
Now, if you use a really high current output, it could cause some damage, but I doubt you're going to have a big issue with it. Generally, if it's more powerful, that's okay. If it's too weak, that's not going to be okay. Which sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. Okay, so now we're going to take out the controller. I know I'm waiting for the last for the helicopter. Okay, I'm taking these awesome things off. You know what these remind me of? Wheels.
You know what they remind me of?
What?
Garbage.
Dang it. Okay, so let's show the people at home. This thing is actually really pretty well packed, but I can hardly get this thing out. I'm sort of afraid. Okay, I was going to take it out first, but I got to take out the helicopter first. Wow. Ooh, that looks really powerful. This is carbon fiber. Wowzers.
The whole thing like this too?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Well, those are super soft too. Those rubbery grommets. What is going on with this mechanism? Jeez, remind me to wear a hard hat.
My living room is getting nervous.
Yeah, I'm getting nervous too. Look at that beautiful motor.
crazy.
Wow. It's a 3606 Hulk Surpass Hobby Yujing. Oh my goodness, it's got a brushless motor on the back too. That is so cool. And what is the size on this one? I don't know if it says. That is super nice. And this, of course, is carbon fiber boom. Just everything is just really, really high quality. Oh, this is actually going to have to be installed. This thing.
What is that?
It's like it's another stabilizer that goes this way.
Oh.
Which is kind of cool. I don't know. I suppose it's optional to install. I'm going to install it if it's available.
Yeah, here it is on the manual.
Yeah. But man, look at how nice this is put together. That is one heck of a mechanism. I just love the way it looks. Okay, so now I'm going to pop off the... Let's look under the hood, guys. Let's take off this. There's two. That's it. Just two. Nice. That makes it easy. This is really thick, too. Look how thick this is. My goodness. It's really got good molding, so it holds its shape nicely. Man. Oh, jeez. So this is DSMX. What? That is awesome. And look at this. Look, another battery hiding in here. That must be the integral one.
Yes.
So if this is DSMX, that means I should be able to use my NX6, which would be awesome. Okay. Looks like we have our XT60 female. And wonder what these servos are like. These are E180 servos, ball joints on all the connection points. That is like super, super high quality. Man, when I crash this, it's going to be horrible. Okay, so right now I'm going to grab this Velcro and see if I can undo this. The Velcro is kind of hard to get undone. I'm not sure if this is just going to slip out, or if it's stuck on more Velcro on the other side. I think it's also stuck on Velcro on the underside as well. So I'm going to undo this Velcro. Yes, it is. There's Velcro underneath. This is like by far the nicest helicopter I've ever had.
Yeah.
I've had a few nice helicopters, but this is a lot more nice. Okay, so just a third battery. There's Velcro already attached to the bottom of this. It's a carbon fiber plate. I don't know if that thing is supposed to come out. It kind of feels like maybe it was designed to be able to slip in and out.
Like a battery tray?
Yeah, but I'm having trouble getting it to go. Unless maybe there's like a certain spot where it kind of lines up and then it can pull out. But just look how beautiful it is. Okay, so I'm gonna actually set this one up to charge. I'll be right back. All right, so I decided I was gonna make these little adapters. This is just a banana jack, and I had this style of connector sitting around. So I made a male and female that goes down to the XT30 size. So now I can just plug these in carefully, like so, and then I can use this to go ahead and charge this pack. Okay. So then I can set it up just like I did. I'm on channel 2 versus channel 1. And I've got it set to 0.7, and it should just start. So it's at 67. This one's at 100%, so this one's already done. And then over here, this one is still going, so let's unplug it briefly. And we'll plug it into the battery checker and see what we've got for voltages. 85%, so that's actually a pretty good charge rate. So it's not a bad speed. This one's supposed to be charging at 2 amps maximum output. So it's never going to charge more than 1 amp because there's only 1 amp coming out of here. So I think we should be pretty good. So this one's done, so we can use this for setup now. Okay, so now that that's unplugged, we'll unplug our various different adapters. And we have our first battery done. And just for curiosity's sake, let's see if this agrees. If you don't have one of these, we have it linked in the video description below, as we will the helicopter. So this is quite exciting because this helicopter looks super nice, and now that I know that it's DSMX, I'm actually even doubly excited about it because that means I can use the transmitter of my choice. In my case, it's going to be my NX6 or NX8. Okay, so now I have to figure out how to get this transmitter out of here. It's really, I'm going to lift this out. Man, that is super, super thick and strong. See? It's got a lot of material there. Okay, there it goes. So there's little keepers that hold on to each of the sides there. So this is one of their nicer transmitters. It still feels like the gimbals are pretty weak. High-low rate, 6G 3D, and then probably idle up. This is throttle hold, and then of course the menu buttons here. But that's interesting. It says SFHSS protocol.
In the manual, it does mention that it would work with the Futaba protocol. It doesn't say anything about DSMX stuff.
Did I misread something?
No?
Oh, it's a DSMX input. So you have S-Bus and DSMX input. So you can plug in a micro receiver with a micro serial receiver for DSMX, or you can plug in S-Bus for anything else you want, okay? So that being said, okay, that's not a big deal. We'll just plan on using this receiver anyway. And this is super nice packaging. It feels like if you wanted to, you could store the helicopter in this and bring it to the flight field or whatever, but I've always found that helicopters are pretty easy to transport in general.
Yeah.
So I don't usually do that. Okay, so what do we need for batteries in this thing? 4 AA's, that's reasonable. We're gonna get 4 AA's and come right back. Okay, so we got some AA's. They are not provided, at least in my case. So we got the 3 batteries included option. There's usually a 1, 3, sometimes there's a 2 as well. Just depends on the eSheen product. Okay, so when you turn this on, got a couple of lights. It's going to show you the percentages, so it must be in low rate because that throttle only goes to 70. Okay, still goes up. Okay, so there's 90. See how the throttle is 90 all the time, except for down here it goes to 0. Or actually, it still says 90. There's 0. So that's idle up versus not idle up. So idle up, it'll be spinning full speed, and then you'll just change the pitch of the blades with this. And that's gonna create your lift, positive lift or negative lift, because you can fly this thing upside down. This is a full collective pitch helicopter, and you can tell because the shape of the wing is, it's even on both sides. Man, this thing is gonna be high performance. So look, everything is metal. It's just baffling. Okay, so then also, when you go to function, there's a way to do setup on this, but I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong there. Then there's like a high rate, low rate, trying to keep the screen dark or from going dark.
It's not too bad actually. So.
Okay, cool. Then this is throttle hold. So that should make 0 no matter what the condition of the stick, no matter if you're in idle up or idle down, or excuse me, idle up or not idle up. So you can see where the stick position is there. You can see the left, right. It's got pretty good precision actually. And then of course this control channel as well. So this is actually a pretty nice transmitter. I've used this transmitter before on a couple other eSheen products and have been very happy with it. I think before we put this thing in the air, we should go ahead and finish assembly, because there is one assembly. We have to put this little horizontal stabilizer on there. And it says right here, this product is compatible with Futaba 2.4 gigahertz SFHSS. Okay. So basically what that means is if you have a Futaba receiver, then you're likely to be able to use it. You can also use open source transmitters with that, generally speaking, like a Jumper or Radio Master. I'm not going to be doing that in this video, because if I'm going to do anything, I will plug in the DSMX plug, and then we'll be able to use one of my favorite transmitters for that. So it looks like there's a couple of clear rings here. This is going to be extremely hard to see on camera. I'm going to slide these off so you guys can see. See that? It's like a washer. So I'm not sure if that's supposed to go on there or not. Sure looks like it should. But this is going to go like that. And then this little doohickey is going to wrap around it, this little horseshoe looking thing. Okay, so I think I'm going to start one screw. I have to assume those are for something, but I don't know what they are. I don't know if that goes on the top or what. Kind of feels like that needs to thread through. There is a there's a hex wrench included with this product too. Boy, that doesn't want to go through, does it? There's a Phillips screwdriver, and then of course the Allen wrench. That is definitely Phillips. Okay. So let's grab that out just in case. Okay, so that is hex. Okay.
That is a really tiny Phillips screwdriver.
Yes, that does work, and yes, that does work for your blades. They're labeled A and A, just in case you're wondering. So when you go to replace the helicopter blades, it shouldn't matter which one you do, because a lot of times there's an A and a B, predominantly when you have interchangeable blades with quads and things like this. So I'm just loosening them so that they swing. Like right now, they're really tight. My experience is you don't want them to be quite so tight, because it can cause some other different problems. Okay, loosening that a little bit more. There's actually a lock nut on the bottom we're gonna have to hold, I think. Show the people. See this? There's a lock nut here, so when I try to spin this, it's just gonna spin the nut. That's why it's not loosening. See that? So we'd have to hold that with a pair of pliers or something. We'll come back to that.
Is there a little thing on the bottom of the screwdriver that would hold it?
That?
Sometimes there's like an end.
There is an end on that, but it's the wrong type of end. Okay, so are you blocking the light there?
No, I don't think so. I can see pretty good.
It doesn't want to go through the hole. I don't understand what the heck. I don't know if these bolts are wrong or if this thing is just super thin. And you're supposed to just kind of drive it through like a screw, like a self-tapping screw sort of thing. It doesn't want to start on either side. So that's weird. That's very weird. I'd really like this thing to be installed myself. Oh, there goes. There goes. It's starting. I feel like it's probably going to break the carbon fiber if I do anything crazy. I know some of you guys are cringing because I'm using the provided tool instead of my proper tool, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what it's like if you use the stock stuff. And by the way, I did use 2 different adapter cables to accomplish my charging results. Okay, so I'm just tightening that in, and it definitely goes, but it's threading itself. So that's going to be kind of awkward. I don't really understand why that would be. What if they just milled the wrong size hole in these things? Because yeah, it definitely doesn't want to start.
In the manual, it says to be sure to only use the provided charger like 4 times. And then it says you should provide your own so that charging goes faster.
What else did it say? It didn't say anything about
It
packing a
comes-
lunch this time, right?
No, it didn't. That was, I don't even remember which one that was. It does come with a Rotective box.
A Rotective box. Yes, it's a Rotective PVC box, no less.
This manual is fairly useless. I read most of it.
It's,
I mean,
it's in Chinglish.
It's
Yeah.
pretty funny, but it's not very helpful.
It's not very helpful. Yeah, we get a lot of that, it seems like, anymore.
And Ishin is really hit and miss.
Yeah,
on
some of them are
theirs.
actually pretty good. It just depends on the product and kind of the widespread appeal. I feel like they, I'm almost wondering if I'm supposed to be putting this in the other way. That's why it would be nice if it was in the instructions. I don't know exactly with certitude exactly how this is supposed to work.
Well, and if you needed those little clear things,
I don't know why you would
Where
need
would
them.
they go?
Yeah, exactly. Where would they go? That's my whole thing. I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to go like that,
it makes
and then this is supposed to go down on it like this. And but I think I'm going to drive myself nuts if I have to use that provided tool.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to get my nice drivers. And then I can tell you what size it is as well. I think it's about 1 millimeter. It could be 0.9. Could be 0.9. No, it's bigger than that. It could be 1.5 even. Yeah, it appears to be 1.5 millimeters, guys. Yeah, the 1.5 is doing a very good job. Boy, that's awkward to get started. Like really, really, really awkward. And I feel bad because it seems like this should be like a really, really, really easy step.
Well, it's all really tiny.
Yep. That is true. It's tiny, but this is actually a bigger helicopter than most of the other ones we've
I know.
reviewed. I'm actually a little bit concerned it's not going to be exactly indoor quality for, in terms of, I don't want to destroy a wall
Yeah.
or a window.
Yeah. Try and avoid those. Be good.
If you come over to the other side, you'll be able to see what's actually happening. I'm backing the screw all the way out, and then I'm having to restart it, and it is kind of taking. Okay, so now that I have it started, now I can swivel that so that it is approximately where it's supposed to be there. And I'm just gonna have this most of the way out the boom. My hope is what's gonna happen is when this is spinning, that's going to allow, if I were to hit some obstruction, it may possibly prevent this from hitting the obstruction. Other than that, I think it's just it might help a little bit with CG adjustment, but I mean, that'd be extremely finite because you're talking about a very small amount of weight going out on the boom there. This is a lot easier to do with this, this tool as opposed to the provided tool. That was way harder than I thought it was going to be. And it's way less sturdy than I thought it was going to be. I think the clear things were maybe supposed to go on top. It's possible. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. It's on there now.
Yep.
Okay, so that's satisfactory. The next step, of course, is going to be to set up the transmitter and then go ahead and try doing some flying and things. We'll probably have to really take it easy unless it stopped raining. We've had rain here all day long, and we've actually been having some decent weather the last few days outside, which is great.
It looks crazy windy though.
Oh, yeah. Well, this thing will probably hold up to the wind
It
just
might.
fine. It's quite sturdy. Okay, so the next step, let's look inside this manual here. Let's see if it has any helpful stuff. Okay, remote controller text mode. Okay, so we talk about the different mode adjustment, mode 1 adjustment. Okay. There's a PPM simulator socket. That's pretty cool. So I wonder if that would also work for a trainer plug. Enter function mode, exit function mode. I didn't notice that it would enter function at all.
Maybe.
Oh, you have to hold it. You have to hold it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Then as you press the button, nope, you got to press and hold this. And then as you select, it talks about the different settings here. This is the gyro, this is the power curve, this is the throttle curve, this is the exponential on each of the channels, this is the dual rates, and this is the reverse. And then we have the sub trim, then we have the swash type. Look at the spelling. T-Y-E-P. They spelled type right there. Model type.
They also spelled helicopter wrong in the manual.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's interesting. Okay, so this is model 0. Wow, you can put more than one model in here. That's pretty cool. Okay, so to exit, you just, I think you press this to exit, but you see I'm on each of these values. I can highlight just one value and then reverse the channel up or down, okay? And then I'm gonna walk out and walk out. Now I'm in regular mode. Throttle's up, but throttle holds on. Okay, cool. So throttle hold is on. That's a safety feature. You'll want to have throttle hold on. I believe these come bound from the factory. This is probably not going to be, oh, just so you guys know, I had somebody asking me a question the other day. They had a very unusual occurrence where I believe the motor was spinning the wrong way. Not on this, but a different product. And all you have to do is switch any two of these leads and that motor will spin the other way, okay? Regardless of what the flight controller is telling it to do. So you shouldn't have to do that, but just in case, this is just really, really well built. It's kind of got me thinking about it. And it's a pretty helicopter too. Just not used to having such nice helicopters. Okay, so what is this thing anyway? The E180. Okay. So if you guys haven't already deduced the fact that these things, the numbering system, oh, were we gonna loosen these? You know what, let's just leave it as is and we'll show people what it looks like out of the box.
Okay.
So, you know where to go if something goes wrong, right? Duck behind the counter.
Okay. That's where I'll go.
All right, so the plug is right here. So this is your power plug. You'll wanna do this in a place where you can stay safe as you can stay. It's kind of hard not to be tangled up in it. There's just not a real good way. Plug it in, leave it alone. I'm seeing some flashing light. It changed. Now, the quick test, it went from flashing blue, fast flashing blue to a purple. You can see the swash plate moving, leaning, and then nothing, that's good. So now I'm gonna just carefully move it in case it would try to move on me. So what you can do is if you come over my shoulder here, I'm gonna show the people what this does. So when you move the stick to the right, this is like the aileron in an airplane, and it does the same thing on the helicopter. It's gonna pitch the helicopter this way, and it's gonna pitch the helicopter that way. That's gonna pitch the helicopter back, or pitch the helicopter forward. So forward flight, lean to the right, yaw, and then yaw. This is gonna make the motor change its speed, which is offsetting the P load from this, the torque load from the prop spinning. And this is gonna change with the flight controller how much it compensates, so it's gonna allow the tail to spin one way or the other. So this is gonna make it go that way and so on and so forth. So you'll be able to see that here in a second, but at this point, I'm just gonna real carefully turn off the throttle hold and just see if it starts spinning with a little bit of throttle. Yeah, that's crazy.
Whoa.
Okay, so the throttle hold's on, and I went ahead and gave it some throttle just to test. Now I can go ahead and put this lid back on. And obviously we want to do this in a careful way so we don't get cut if things would start. And we're probably going to have to go outside for this one, I'm guessing, because it's just a little bit more insane than I'm used to. I don't fancy myself to be some sort of an expert helicopter pilot, but I still like seeing them fly. So we will come right back. All right, so we're outside because I'm being a chicken. Throttle cuts off. That thing is fast. That's 10% throttle.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so I'm at about 50% throttle. Holy crap, that thing is rock solid too. Look at this.
It is windy.
It's windy here too. This is definitely not an indoor heli. It does not have any problems with the wind, none whatsoever. I'm gonna go up so you can see it better. Are you better with that, you
Yes.
think?
Yes.
So the 6G is working really nice, guys. I mean, it's definitely not gonna be just like, let go of the sticks and see what happens. This is the type of heli that you don't want to crash, for one thing, because it's beautiful. And then secondly, this thing will do everything you want it to. It'll do all the tricks. Of course, I am not skilled enough in the 3D arena, that's for sure. The 6G 3D is really good right now. I'm just amazed at it. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and just do a quick circuit here and hopefully not crash. It is getting pushed by the wind, but I have plenty of authority to overwhelm it. See that? Geez, that thing is fast. Holy crappers. I'm not used to getting so far away from myself with a heli. Hope my camera crew is zooming for you guys today.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
Okay, so I'm coming back toward us here. We'll see if I can bring it down a little bit. Boy, that 6G is really working today. I'm trying to coordinate my controls because, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not exactly what you would call some sort of an expert heli pilot. I can definitely tell you that it's kind of a scary amount of power for me. Okay, so let's see if I can land it. That's one of the important steps. Nice, smooth landing. Okay, throttle's back down, throttle holds on, and tested. So that was without idle up. Idle up is gonna be scary for me because that means everything is spinning at full pace, and then it's just the pitch of the props. And this wind is coming, guys. It's blowing this way and that way. It's kind of confused winds. The worst type for flying helicopters, well, excuse me, for flying airplanes. Obviously, this is a helicopter, so we should be okay. Okay, idle up is on. There it goes. So it's gonna have downward thrust, so I'm moving the stick to the middle. You guys see how it comes up to speed slowly? Yeah, that's kind of scary. So you see the down, there's the up, there's the down, up, down. Holy crap, that's insane. Okay, down, up,
Oh my
down.
goodness.
You wanna fly this one, camera crew?
No.
Okay, so the other thing too, I told my camera crew off camera, I said, this is not the one to take one for the team on. So, this thing is just extremely sensitive. It holds its position just like absolute. I'm very satisfied because it's insanely powerful. I am gonna try not to do anything too stupid that I can't get away from. Look how fast it goes up. Almost no hesitation. By the way, that's 60% throttle. Watch this, guys. There's full.
Oh my gosh.
It's insane. Okay, all right. And by the way, okay, so I'm gonna go out of the idle up mode, and then you'll notice that it's a nice relaxed transition with both throttle and pitch. And that's how you can do your more scale looking flying if you want, which is about the extent of my heli experience. No less the fact that it's very small and beautiful.
It is by far the most intense sounding
Oh yeah.
helicopter you've ever had.
Yeah, it sounds kind of scary. I mean, it's not like it's hard to fly for me, but it's just like, I know it could get away from me in a heartbeat. And not only that, but with the wind, it does kind of get pushed by the wind, but it's not getting out of level at all, guys. So are you able to zoom some?
Yeah, I zoomed out right now just so I could see how far away you are, but
But it's really not,
zoom in.
it's not super hard to control. It's just that listen to how fast it's going. Okay, it's just intense. Okay, so
Wow.
throttle holds on. there's also high and low rates, and I'm in low rates. Okay, let's see what high rates looks like. I'm actually might be in the high rates right now. Okay, getting the throttle up. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to high rates. Geez, even not in idle up, it's just insane. I could change the pitch so that this thing is a lot like less scary for me to fly. But then it's gonna really tame this helicopter. And that's not what people buying this helicopter want. So again, when I show a helicopter, I always feel like it's, you know, I'm giving some inferior performance here. I'm more showing you how to charge the batteries than I am on how to fly it. The carbon fiber skids have been working really nice too. I almost just want to see how fast it'll go, but I'm afraid that it's just going to get away from me and I won't be able to see this little speck in the air. It's beautiful, but it's not very big once you get up in the air.
I know. I kind of hate to like
kill it on the first day.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going back up. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
It does engage throttle nice and soft. It's got a smooth startup. Boy, having a brushless tail rotor is awesome. It doesn't lose traction like you will on some of the brushed ones because you just don't have enough juice there. And look how rock solid it is. I mean, we're right next to that wind. Man, that wind is aggressive right now, guys. That is aggressive wind. Okay, so I'm gonna see what it does when we switch to idle up here. There's idle up, about 50% throttle position, which is not called the throttle on a helicopter. I think it's called the cyclic or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to ask one of the heli guys who will correct me for sure. That is just insanity. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking, what a lame-o video because you're not doing all the crazy things that I would do. I agree. I agree. But I just don't want to crash this thing. I crashed the last awesome heli I had. I crashed it in the video. But it was nice because then I felt like I was actually bringing something to the equation, you know, because I was able to fix it. I'm like honestly afraid to take it out of the 6G mode because it's going to be just like insanely capable.
Well, especially with the wind.
With the wind, without the wind, it doesn't matter. It'd still be scary. And not scary in a bad way, scary in a, that is incredible way. I'm just not a heli pilot, folks. Let's just get down to it.
I'm not usually nervous when you fly.
You know I'm nervous, so you're nervous. Mm-hmm. Okay, now I don't know how much life I have left on that battery. I'm assuming we're getting pretty close because I feel like there's a demonstrable change in throttle noise and I do not want to land in the mud.
No.
Whoa. Ooh. Whoa, that was kind of dead. Okay, throttle cut is on. Let's check. There's throttle. Everything seems to be safe. So let's go ahead and pick it up. Very carefully. Mm-hmm. Thank you. That is one insanely capable heli by Eachine, the E180. If you're a good heli pilot, and I am not, you will love this thing. It is insane. I guarantee you can fly that thing upside down. You can do all the tricks in the book. It's very well put together. About the only complaint was that wasn't a very long flight. So let's actually go in where it's warm and we will check with the XBC 100 battery checker. Okay, so we have the heli inside. We have the throttle hold on. And if you're not used to using a throttle hold, you can just say goodbye to your fingers.
Yeah.
And face also. Very easy to take the front off. Not all helis are created equal, guys.
No.
It seems like they are when you look at them online, but this thing is incredible. Not only is it heavy, which is not a good thing in aircraft, it's good on this though because it is well built.
Yeah.
And by the way, every single one of those ball joints you can take off. They are hex driven. See this?
Wow.
Yeah, where's that 1.5 meter, 1.3 millimeter? Here, 1.5, look at this, folks. See that? So some of you guys don't know this, but back when I started This is years before I had a YouTube channel. I had a CP-1 helicopter. And I basically never flew it because it was scary for me.
You had that. Did you have that in our very first
There
house?
was no stabilization, there was no auto leveling, there was no nothing.
Yeah, it was like-
I didn't even have the gyro on the tail, which was an option at the time.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's why it landed the way it did. Okay, so not the heli's fault. I would highly encourage you to set your timer because that was fully consumed. Now, that being said, if you had access to a bigger pack, see this? You could get, say, a little bit wider. That would be an all right spot for a bigger battery. And I just want to show you something that I'm actually quite impressed by. First of all, that Velcro is really good, actually.
Really strong.
We just beat the crap out of that pack.
Yeah.
And look at this. Well, actually, we probably didn't compare to some of the heli pilots
Well.
out there.
It's even warm. It's cold outside too.
Yeah, it's not really even warm. That's a 30C pack. A lot of that can be attributed to the contact area on the XT30. Okay, this thing really almost needs an XT60 because that thing looked like it was pulling some significant juice.
Yeah.
So let's come over here and check out the other batteries. This one's still going. I'm gonna grab the XBC 100 and we're gonna check that. The stock charger is pretty slow. Okay. Let's plug this thing in here.
Especially with a short flight timer or short flight time.
Oh, it's pretty much, yeah, but see, look, it's not even balanced.
The other one was balanced when you checked it on there.
Well, that's because
the
I
first
was
time.
using this
Oh,
charger.
That's true.
So, without further ado, let's go ahead and plug this in here and just see, yeah, it's out of balance. But that's okay. Typically, the chemistry on a pack is gonna be problematic if you go above 4.2. So at 4.22, it's probably not that big a deal. It's not ideal. You certainly want to keep from overcharging cells. But if your battery goes to 4.22, I mean, it's not like the battery police are going to show up at your house, but it might catch on fire and blow out. So just be aware of that. No big deal. So we're going to plug this one in and just see what it says on the charger now that we have over discharged it. When you get a LiPo out of its recommended range, that's where you have weird things happen. So you need to be a little bit careful about that. That seems to be congruent with what we were reading. It's already set for 0.7 amps. This may give us a warning. You know why it's not starting? It doesn't recognize the battery because it's below the charge rate. So there's a couple of different ways you can resolve this if you over discharge a battery, okay? The other thing too is this is warm. You typically wouldn't want to charge a battery while it's warm. And it's not hot, it's warm, like maybe 95 degrees, okay? So it's still pretty cool. Ambient temperature would be about, you know, like 75, 80 degrees. So it's just barely over that, okay? So that's gonna go to a solid light. So it's gonna start charging. So this doesn't take into account the overall charge of the pack.
It doesn't care.
It doesn't, well, if it's low enough, it will. But then there's another trick you can do, and that is to go to a different battery type. And what you do is you basically force voltage in for a very short period. You don't overdo it, and you just get it enough so it can be charged, okay? We may even be able to see that there's enough now that we have, now that we've, yeah, see, you're already up into the 2.9 range, okay? Yeah, because these batteries, battery chargers are going to prevent you from starting your charge cycle if you're too far out of range. There we go. So now let us start.
Just lost my question. I was gonna ask them about charger. Oh, there was no like indicator. You said you felt like you were getting low on power, but there was nothing else to indicate.
No, this helicopter is so capable that I couldn't even tell I was low on battery. And that's a very good thing in terms of the efficiency of the motors and in terms of the desire. I mean, all the electronics are sized well. The problem is you don't end up overloading the circuit. even remotely. So you have virtually no warning when you're about to run out of power. So I don't know if there's a timer on this. I don't think there is. Yeah, because I've never seen dual rates, expo, throttle curve, power curve, gyro, model select. This is the model type, airplane or heli, swash type, sub trim, reverse, dual rates. Okay, yeah, so there does not appear to be a timer on this. Now that's not to say anything about the fact that if you were to go and use a transmitter like this, you could absolutely do a 1-out timer. I don't know what type of telemetry data you would get back, but that can also be part of your Spectrum receiver as well, because that serial receiver can also have telemetry inside of it. It just depends on what you get. So without further ado, I think what I need to do is we're gonna pause, we'll get the coats off so we don't have our mics bumping all the time, and we're gonna look at maybe taming this thing for a beginner. And when I say a beginner, I mean an intermediate heli pilot. Sorry, I was just gonna pull this thing off because it looks so much better without that stupid protective cover. Here's the thing. Since I kind of suck as a heli pilot, and this thing definitely does not, I mean, this is by far the nicest heli I have. And I have maybe like 15 decent quality helis. So I just want to say, first of all, this is phenomenal. It's the best one I've ever had. It's also the most expensive I've probably had too. So the battery size leaves a little something to be desired in terms of the amount of discharge you get before you have to land without warning. That's a little bit scary. Beyond that, those are my only complaints so far. Now, what I'm gonna do from here till the end of the video, when I ask you to look in the link to buy this thing, if you'd like to buy one to support our channel, I'll just tell you that now. If you wanna help support us, look in the link below. You can buy one for yourself. You can buy it with a variety of different battery options, and you can usually select from what warehouse you wanna get it from too. So just pick the one that suits your fancy. Just follow the link. You'll be helping to support our channel. And if you haven't already liked the videos, if we help you out with something, definitely like them. Don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in seeing more footage. We do helicopters, airplanes, and then of course we show a lot about the property, but that happens very periodically because it's definitely not our mainstay on this channel. It's gonna be radio controlled aircraft. And then we also do ground vehicles, also somewhat occasionally. And then we cover some of the other good stuff that we do, like we're building another bridge. So we're gonna have a video about that.
Yep.
But for now, I just wanted to make sure you knew that the rest of this is to how to make this amazing 3D performance helicopter into something that I can fly without being scared he's gonna crash into his own face. So if you guys wanna come over my shoulder, I'm gonna show you what I do. Now, this is just highly, highly subjective. So I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Also, I wanna tell you that the batteries we use are the crappiest AA's you can possibly get. Mm-hmm. Oh, crap. Okay, so this is Expo. See how that number goes up? I can't remember if this number needs to be positive or negative in a helicopter with Futaba. I can't remember. So we're in Expo. So these are the settings right now in the high rate, okay? Now in the low rate, it's 30. Okay, it looks like it's the same, okay? So it's whatever I set it to. So what we're gonna do is we're going to set the Expo to 30, 30, and 30. And then these are the 3 channels of control axis, okay? See how as that's highlighted, it starts flashing. I'm trying to keep it awake too, just so you guys know. Oh, look, we're up to full strength on the batteries now. That's always fancy. Okay. So now when I switch this to the other setting, you'll notice it's still the same, okay? I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way it's gonna be assumed to be. Now you press that, it brings you out to Expo. Expo's flashing and it says 1 through 4. When you press down, it says throttle curve. So now you can click function. That brings you in. At 1, it's gonna be 0. At 2, it's 70. At 3, it's 70. At 4, it's 70. At 5, it's 70. So that must be with idle up versus not idle up. Okay, so yep, idle up, it's at 90. Then it's at 90. Then it's at 90. Then it's at 90. Then it's at 90. Okay, So with this switch back, you're in the not idle up. That backlight shutting off is so annoying.
It's really fast.
Yeah. If you were doing this yourself, it wouldn't be a big issue, but when we're filming, it's annoying. So you see 0 is 0. This relates to the stick position here. Okay. I can shut this off because we have the battery out. See this down here? It doesn't change in the menu. Okay. So that's 70, then 70, then 70, then 70. So like if I wanted to change this to 75, so that would mean that this is going to spin at 75 at the max speed. And then 70, so like if it's all the way up, that's going to be 75. Then at 80% or 4, it's going to be 70, then 70, then 70, then 70, then 70. Then at the bottom of the stick, the flight controller knows it's at 0 and it goes to 0. So this is 0. At 20%, it's fully to 70. At 40%, it's fully to 70 and it stays. At, so as you move through the throttle range, it doesn't really change the amount of spinning, okay? So it's constant. That's part of the reason why a 1-out timer makes sense on a heli, in case you're wondering. Because once you start flying, it's pretty much producing a lot of energy all the time. And then when you change the pitch, it's gonna load the system down and draw more current out of the battery quicker, okay? But if you're hovering, you're gonna be at least, 60% of load, right? When you go full stick, it's gonna be like 100%, 110%, okay? So 75, this is gonna be for more of a linear output, okay? So then when I go to, if I press this button, it just changes to 1, then it goes to 2. So 0 is the first setting. So there's 0. Then it goes to 70. And what I like to do is I like to make the range just a very small stair step. Okay. So that way, as I change the stick position, I see a range change. Okay. You can pretty much just stay on the screen.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'm going to press function, function, function. Okay. So I'm happy with throttle curve. Now that's on this setting. On this setting, watch what happens. It stays the same. You see that? It doesn't change relative to the high-low rate. That only impacts the rate. So now I'm going to press function again. Now I'm going to press this again. It takes you in and out. Okay, so I'm going to go back out. Then I'm going to press down. Then I'm going to go to pitch curve. Now the pitch curve may change depending on, nope, it also doesn't change, which is interesting. Okay, so in low rate versus high rate, it's 30 at the first setting. Then on the second setting, it's 40. Then it's 50. Then it's 65. Then it's 80. Now watch when it's in idle up. It's 15, then 32, then 50, then 68, then 85. That means that at the first position, this is actually minus, okay? So this thing is gonna be positioned down. So like you could be upside down and it would hold the helicopter up in the air. And then if you put the stick to the middle, then it would hover. Then if you went up, it would pull it into the ground, okay? You see how that, so when you're on the ground, if you take off in the idle up, you're gonna have a lot of pressure on this frame. It's gonna stick it to the ground until you're ready, and then you get to 50%, then 51%, it's gonna start to lift. And then at 100%, it's gonna go really fast. So the whole point is, I'm just going through these menus so you know how to make these adjustments. See how it said 15 becomes 14, 16, just depends on whether you go up or down. I'm gonna make this, I'm just gonna leave the idle up setting the way it is. And I'm only gonna concentrate on not idle up, because that's basically the only way I fly helis, because I'm too scared, too gutless. So 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. I'm gonna actually leave that at 30. Then I'm gonna go, okay, so that means that without idle up, we're actually producing just very small amount of down thrust, okay? When there's nothing being applied, this is pointed slightly down from neutral, okay? Because 50 is neutral. Then 40, and then 50 right in the middle, okay? Now 50 is a safe spot in the middle of the stick, because if you switch from idle up to regular flight mode, you don't have this helicopter like crash on you, okay? Because you don't want it to be a drastic change. So on the way up through the stick, I feel like we're okay to be where we are. Plus then you have enough downward to get the helicopter to come to the ground quickly. It's like if you're trying to get it into land, you can bring it down. Like you can actually come from neutral to nothing. If you leave this at neutral and you're just depending on the throttle of the motor spinning, it's gonna take longer for you to bring it to the ground, okay? So I'm gonna actually reduce mine a little bit, but I'm gonna start here. And so I'm gonna bring that up a little bit, okay? Then I'm gonna bring this one up about half again. Then it's gonna be even at 50. Then it's gonna go to 65 and 80. I'm actually gonna change that from 65 down to 60. Then I'm gonna change this down to like 70, okay? So we just reduced the power by quite a bit, okay? So it just means the pitch of the prop at the full stick position is now gonna be 70 instead of 80. 50 being 0 level, okay? 0 being minus however far it can go, and then 100 being plus however far it can go, okay? You'll note that we have not actually achieved 100 pitch and 100 throttle on any setting, but you could set that up. You'd probably burn up your battery. Like just by doing that, just by nature of doing that, it would burn up your battery, okay? So that being said, let's walk out of this menu. So that's the pitch curve. Then we can press function. Excuse me. Then we can press down. We can go to gyro. Now gyro has an up and down setting, I think. So let's go into gyro. Whoops, sorry guys, gyro. So you see how that changes? That value means there's less gyro. And that is not attached. So I'm gonna set the gyro to like, was it 75?
75.
Let's set it to 80, okay? Let's see if that helps. That should make it a little bit more intense. I was hoping there was a high and low so I could see the difference. Okay, so now we're gonna walk out of there. Whoops. We're gonna walk out of there. Then we're gonna press this. What am I doing wrong? There we go. Okay, so we got throttle all the way down. See how it barely changes now? So there's nothing. A little bit, gets to 70 and then it relaxes, it barely changes. So what's gonna happen is the helicopter is gonna have a certain amount of throttle that's attained, and then there's a small amount of realization of change in throttle, but then as we move this stick up, it's gonna change the pitch, but only minimally now. It's gonna be a lot less responsive on throttle. That's good for somebody that's a less skilled heli pilot. It's also bad if you're trying to get away from an obstacle like a tree, because when you give it full throttle, you're gonna have less output, period. So really, the way you resolve that is you have the high and low rates. So we're gonna go back into functions, press and hold this. Now it's at gyro. Now it's gyro. Back. Go up, there's throttle curve, there's expo, and then there's dual rates. Okay, now this is where that high-low works. So we're gonna go into that. It looks like 80 or 100. Okay, so there's 80 or 100. Okay, so on throttle. So in high rate, it looks like, see this says high-low rate. It's like that must be high rate, and this must be low rate. That's high rate. I think that's confusing. That should be low rate. So I'm gonna change that to like 70 here, okay? So I believe that has to do with channel 1, which is throttle, I think. Then this one's minus 100. Well, that's weird. Whoops. Then it's minus 80. Why is it minus? That's weird. What am I doing wrong here, camera crew? I have to press and hold it to go into the menu. Once we get into that, then we can select it by pressing this. Now it's on 2. It's minus 100. Okay, see, isn't that how we go to the next one?
Maybe you can't change that curve?
Oh, you know what? I bet it's 2 positions. Okay, here we go. Dual rates. Then it brings you down to, okay, I exited. Dual rates. There's 2, there's 1, there's 2. That can't be right. There's reverse. Okay, so if we go into this, see that? When I go into dual rates, it only lets me play with 1. Oh, you know what? That's got to be a channel. There's a channel that's used for dual rates. Okay, so I'm gonna change 1. Does this go to positive? Nope, it's a minus value no matter what. So I'm gonna do minus, ooh, there's minus 125. So I'm gonna do minus 100 for 1, and then for the other, I'm gonna do minus. We'll do 75, okay? So now that means that hypothetically there'll be a high rate and a low rate. Okay, so I want this to be the high rate and I want this to be the low rate. So we'll find out. Throttle hold is still working. All right, so now at this point we can, hopefully if it's not raining, we'll try it again, and this will be the baby mode for me. All right, YouTube, this is the baby mode. Okay, so this is for Brian Phillips RC. I do not fly helicopters very good, and this thing is insane. So we're in the lower rates, I believe. Throttle hold is on. We're gonna take off throttle hold. It is windy, by the way. Okay, we're not in idle up. So we changed some settings. Okay, so I believe I know what's going on. It's insanely touchy and I know what's going on. So I have to go into the function mode. Then I have to get down to expo. The expo needs to be minus to be effective for what I need, okay? Because in Futaba, it's backward from what I'm used to in Spectrum. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. That made it extra touchy if it was a positive number versus a negative number, okay? So now we can exit, and we're gonna try again. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, look at that, so much better. So much better, and yet still, I suck really bad.
Somewhat terrifying.
It is totally. It is a lot better now because the Expo 30 is probably a little bit much though, because I'm really having to like pull the stick a lot to make it do what I need it to do. The flight controller is doing an excellent job, but I just feel like maybe it's a little bit too dampened. Okay, throttle cuts on. So we're gonna press and hold function. We're gonna go into Expo. So now I'm gonna run this to like minus 10, minus 10, so that should be less Expo. Does this change with the rate? No, it doesn't.
No.
Dang it, that'd be nice if it did. Okay, cool, so now we've got that all set. And let's walk out now, here we go. Okay, 50% throttle, just over. Oh yeah. Remember, this is baby mode. And look at that windy flag, guys. Boy, I feel so much more in control when I've got softer sticks like this. And also the more spongy throttle controls just make me feel so much more comfortable with this heli. It's not that it's a hard helicopter to fly, it's just that it's hard for me to fly because I'm not a good heli pilot, period. I can tell you this too, it definitely, the way it comes out of the box is not set up bad. It's just extremely touchy for my taste. Because I'm used to flying helicopters that are definitely not powerful like this. And usually the helicopters I fly, you could never fly them in this type of condition.
No.
Because they'd be blown away by now. Like, get to the chopper! I hope my camera crew is trying to zoom so that I don't look quite so bad.
I'm zoomed.
You are?
Yeah.
Good. All right, cool. So now I know some of you guys are thinking, do a flip, Brian, do a flip. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure I can do a flip. But here's the thing, I wanna see what happens when I transition to idle up. There's idle up, okay?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring it back over. The Expo is helping a lot in idle up because it is still working, as you know. That's full, there's full up, there's full down, there's full up, there's full down. That is just scary to me.
It is.
And yet there are people that can do incredible things with this. Okay, out of idle up because I'm losing my nerve and it's getting further away slightly.
Sorry about the jumpiness, guys. That's why I don't zoom. makes me look like a terrible camera
Oh,
person.
by the way, sorry, camera crew, I didn't mean to talk over you
No,
there.
you're good.
I was attempting to put in a voltage alarm just a little bit too tight to fit. I can definitely say those ball joints are making for an extremely tight feeling flight. I mean, this thing is just fantastic. If you are a heli pilot, you are gonna absolutely love this thing. And there's our power. My stick is getting past 60% and I feel like I'm losing my power to a degree. Before we get burned, we went to 0% last time. So we're gonna go ahead and pause and come back inside. Okay, so we were just outside doing the baby flight for Brian Phillips, RC, because he's not a very good heli pilot. And here we go, we're gonna pull off that case, that front. And well, actually we can leave it plugged in, technically. We just don't want you to think we're pulling any punches here because we don't really stand to gain anything by showing it anything less than good. I would say that's a pretty good place to be done. Mm-hmm. So did you pay attention to time at all?
I think you're maybe like 6-ish minutes. 5.
6 minutes, that's not bad.
No.
5 or 6 minutes on a high performance heli is just fine. I feel like that's good. There's also more, I believe these gains can be adjusted here, but I'm not 100% sure how all that's set. Just so you guys know. What can I say about this heli? It is really good. It's probably the nicest heli I have. It's not a scale helicopter, and that would be kind of what I would get into in terms of helicopters. It's definitely a little bit more expensive than some of the other competitive choices that we've flown. And it's also stretches me the farthest because it's far enough outside of my skill set that it makes me the most uncomfortable. It would hold up to a crash very good as far as the strength of the material is concerned, but it is a lot heavier. So if you would have a crash, it's going to be more mass that's hitting. So when you're making your decision to buy, let's say you're up against the E130, like not even in the remote ballpark, okay? And you can kind of just tell from the number. The higher the number, the more advanced the helicopter is. Not just by release date, but also the more challenging it's gonna be, the more capable it's gonna be. This thing will do full 3D. It'll fly in any direction. It'll do all the tricks that you see from people that are much better RC pilots than me. So far, extremely impressed with the way this thing works. That motor, feel the motor, camera crew.
Yeah, it's like,
It's like barely warm.
just all, it's like, no.
It's just everything is sized right. It works well. It does what it's supposed to do. The only complaint I have is that I'm not a good enough pilot to really showcase how awesome this thing is. But that being said, you can get one for yourself. Don't forget that you can get them with different number of batteries when you do buy. So check that when you're getting ready to make your final decision. And then sometimes they'll come in the helicopter and sometimes they'll come in the box. So don't be freaked out if you order a three battery option and there's only 2 in the box, because that's the way they're gonna ship it more than likely. Without further ado, we're gonna wrap this one up. Guys, this thing is awesome. If you're looking for a high quality 3D helicopter, this is the ticket. And it's still relatively small, very easy to transport, and definitely you could throw it in the car or truck with you and have it ready to rock and roll. And with a USB charger, you could have those batteries charged in, how long has it been? I think it would take about 45 minutes to an hour to charge that battery.
Probably.
From whatever they sent it from the factory. So I would say it was probably close to the 3.9, 3.8 range per cell. So definitely a really cool helicopter. I wish I could show it off better, but one of these years, maybe I will. Come back for more, folks.